Hi everyone, I'm Linda Reimer, one of the librarians at the Southeast Bend County Library. Welcome to Library Connections, our weekly readers, viewers, and listeners advisory video cast. Enjoy. Library Connections number 86. This is the Friday, January 28th, 2022 edition of Library Connections. And I'm not quite sure where January has gone, but it's almost gone. But of course, I digress. Let's jump right in with the top 5 fiction bestsellers for this week from the New York Times. At number 1, It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. A battered wife, raised in a violent home, attempts to halt the cycle of abuse. At number 2, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. A movie icon recounts stories of her loves and career to a struggling magazine writer. At number 3, Verity by Colleen Hoover. Loan Ashley is hired by the husband of an injured writer to complete her popular series, and she uncovers a horrifying truth. At number 4, One Step Too Far by Lisa Gardner, the second book in the Frankie Elkin series. Frankie searches for a young man who went missing during a bachelor party camping trip. And at number 5, Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. Tate Collins and Miles Archer, an airline pilot, think they can handle a no-strings-attached arrangement, but they can't. And I have to comment here on Colleen Hoover. Way to go, Colleen Hoover. She has 3 books in the top 5 on the New York Times fiction bestseller list for this week. And in all the times I've been following the New York Times bestseller list weekly, which is about 20 years, I have never seen that. So I thought I'd make a comment about the author. This is Colleen Hoover, and she published her first novel, Shameless, in 2011. She self-published it, and she has gone on to become one of the most popular authors on Book Talk, which is an offshoot of the social media TikTok. And Book Talk popularity, I think, shows you the power of social media today. And at least as far as books go, that is a good thing. And if you're not familiar with TikTok, it is a social media platform that is even more video-based than Facebook. So the popularity of her work on Book Talk is no doubt a big factor as to why she has 3 books on the top 5 of the New York Times bestseller list this week. Way to go, Colleen. Moving on to the top 5 nonfiction bestsellers of the week. At number 1, Enough Already by Valerie Bertinelli. The actress and TV personality describes her personal setbacks and difficult journey to self-acceptance. And I have to make a few comments here. First of all, that is a terrific title, Enough Already. What a great title for a book. And secondly, I have to say, as a child of the 70s, growing up, I watched Valerie Bertinelli on One Day at a Time. That, of course, is the original One Day at a Time, and greatly enjoyed that dramedy. I did not know she had a new series, relatively new. I gather she started it more than 5 years ago. But Valerie's Home Cooking is a series that appears on the Food Network. So there's a good book to read and 2 TV series to stream. And you might, if you're in the mood for dramedy, that is a classic comedy drama like MASH or One Day at a Time, you might pair the original One Day at a Time with the newer One Day at a Time, which was also excellent. And I have digressed, so let's get back to the nonfiction bestsellers of the week. At number 2, The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. How trauma affects the body and mind, and innovative treatments for recovery. At number 3, The Betrayal of Anne Frank by Rosemary Sullivan. New technology was used to investigate who revealed the location of Anne Frank and her family to the Nazis. And I have yet another cat here who is trying to be my office assistant. We'll see if I can finish this little section of narration before he's right in front of my microphone. Isn't that right, Jules? I'm digressing. At number 4, The 1619 Project, edited by Nicole Hannah-Jones, Caitlin Roper, Elena Silverman, and Jake Silverstein. Viewing America's entanglement with slavery and its legacy, in essays adapted and expanded from the New York Times Magazine. And at number 5, Unthinkable by Jamie Raskin. The Maryland congressman describes leading the impeachment effort against the former president shortly after his son's death by suicide and the insurrection at the Capitol. Our first recommended read for this week is the new mystery Murder at Maliwan Hall by Colleen Cambridge. Set in Devon, England, circa 1930, this solid series launch from Cambridge introduces Phillida Bright, the housekeeper at Maliwan Hall, which is described as a modest manor house with 15 guest rooms. It also happens to be the home of Agatha Christie and her second husband, Max Maliwan. Phillida is an unabashed fan of Hercule Poirot, and one of the reasons she's currently unwed is, as she notes, that she had yet to find a man who met the standards set by the proper Belgian detective. Okay. Early one morning, Phillida goes to draw the curtains in the library and finds one of the Maliwan's house party guests lying dead on the rug, a fountain pen protruding from the side of his neck. Another murder follows. The general ineptitude of the local police offends Phillida, who decides to use her little gray cells to solve the case. That Agatha and Max stay on the periphery of the investigation may disappoint those expecting a more active role for them, and keeping track of the large cast of servants, guests, and hangers-on can be hard. Still, readers will want to see more of the clever Phillida. And that is the Publisher's Weekly Review. Our second recommended read for this week is the new novel Small World by Jonathan Evison. Evison has published a string of superb novels, varying from portraiture to landscape, so it is thrilling to see the talent, ambition, and execution coalesce in this masterpiece. The narrative shifts between two timelines. A mid-19th century backstory introduces many characters, including two orphaned Irish fraternal twins who become separated, a runaway slave who finds love but must forever look over his shoulder, a Chinese immigrant who finds fortune mining for gold but is haunted by a violent act, and Lulu, which means wild dove in Miniwak. She's an independent spirit of the Miniwak tribe who, true to her name, rejects the comfy square abode of her adoptive family. The modern-day storyline follows their respective descendants as they navigate soul-crushing jobs, abusive partners, and the ever-elusive American dream. Compelled by expectations, driven by dreams achievable and deferred, each character displays the fierce fortitude and stubborn resilience that define the American spirit. The sweeping panorama is the perfect canvas on which Evison explores the diversity of the nation's character while limning contours and adding textures to bring to vivid life his memorable characters. Such masterful strokes seem to qualify Small World as the quintessential great American novel, as Evison eloquently shows that perhaps the most authentically American ideal is the ongoing blended palette of stories. And that's the book list review. And I haven't started that yet, but I intend to tonight. That really sounds fantastic. Our first audiobook recommendation for this week is the new novel, The Last House on the Street by Diane Chamberlain. The audio is narrated by Susan Bennett, and it follows two characters, Ellie in the 1960s and Kayla in the 20-teens. It starts out with Ellie's story. We follow her during the summer prior to the passage of the 1965 Voting Rights Act, when she joins the SCOPE program, in which white students from northern states travel to the South to register black people to vote. Having grown up in North Carolina, Ellie doesn't quite fit in, and family and friends struggle to understand her work. Ellie soon realizes her situation isn't just uncomfortable, but dangerous, as discord builds between black and white communities that will have ramifications for everyone. The story moves forward to 2010, and we follow recently widowed Kayla as she moves herself and her daughter into their new house. But threats and strange happenings make her wonder if the house will ever really feel like home. Could the key to Kayla's current troubles lie in Ellie's past? Chamberlain uses her well-honed skills for alternating timelines to illustrate the all-too-real causes and consequences of our actions. A high-tension plot focuses on the issues of equity and inclusion, especially as it relates to voting, a concept which is not as new as it seems. The book is sure to appeal to readers who like their attention wrapped up in social issues. And that's the abridged book list review. Our second audiobook recommendation for this week is fiction with science fiction overtones. It's called The Unfamiliar Garden by Benjamin Percy. And the audio is narrated by the author. So having said that, let me tell you about the plot. The night the sky fell, Jack and Nora Abernathy's daughter vanished in the woods, and Mia's disappearance broke her parents' already fragile marriage. Unable to solve her own daughter's case, Nora lost herself in her work as a homicide detective, while Jack became a shell of a man, his promising career as a biologist crumbling alongside the meteor strikes that altered weather patterns and caused a massive drought. It isn't until 5 years later that the rains finally return to nourish Seattle. In this period of sudden growth, Jack uncovers evidence of a new parasitic fungus, while Nora investigates several brutal ritualistic murders. Soon they will be drawn together by a horrifying connection between their discoveries, partnering to fight a deadly contagion, as well as the government forces that know the truth about the fate of their daughter. Award-winning author Benjamin Percy delivers both a gripping sci-fi thriller and a dazzling examination of a planet and a marriage that have broken. And I would also note that this book is a little bit of a mystery book too. It's obviously not a procedural mystery, but there's some mystery in it, so if you want to know what happens, check it out. Our first streaming recommendation for this week is the brand new TV series Promised Land, which just launched this week. It stars Susan Ortiz, Ariela Amar, and Andrew Gonzalez, and it can be streamed from ABC Online or Hulu. And I have a very short overview of what this is about. Basically, Promised Land is a soapy drama in the vein of Dallas or Dynasty. The series focuses on several generations of the Sandoval family, who own and operate a vineyard in California's Sonoma Valley. As I mentioned, the series just made its debut this week, and episode 1 can be streamed from Hulu or via the ABC website now, with new episodes coming weekly. So if you're looking for a soapy drama, check out Promised Land. Our second streaming recommendation is a classic. It's the 1986 film Stand By Me, directed by Rob Reiner and starring Will Wheaton, River Phoenix, Corey Feldman, and Jerry O'Connell. You can get this from Netflix or any of the other streaming platforms, and this DVD is also available to request through Starcat. And let me tell you a little about the plot in case you haven't seen the film. Rob Reiner's 1986 film Stand By Me remains a touchstone, coming-of-age classic, more than 35 years after its release. And it is certainly one of the best Stephen King adaptations, here, from his 1982 novella, The Body. It's a film that for many of us exists in the memory and is easily accessed without having to rewatch it, as key moments in our coming of age often are. The film most importantly served as a breakout vehicle for actors Will Wheaton, Corey Feldman, Jerry O'Connell, and River Phoenix. They play 4 friends who in 1959 embark on a hike to find the dead body of a missing boy. And they confront a bully played by Kiefer Sutherland. That's the IndieWire review. And if you're in the mood for a gentle coming-of-age story with a little bit of drama, set in the summertime when it's warm, check out Stand By Me, or perhaps rewatch Stand By Me. Our third streaming recommendation for this week is a new one. It is the new series with an incredibly long title. It's called The Woman in the House Across the Street from the Girl in the Window. Good night, what a title. The series stars Kristen Bell, and you can stream it from Netflix. Kristen portrays Anna in this series, and Anna loves her wine. She even admits to mixing her wine with pills. Unfortunately, this makes her the kind of person that everyone in her suburban neighborhood thinks is untrustworthy. So, of course, nobody around Anna believes her when she claims to have seen a murder. And over 8 episodes, Anna's going to get to the bottom of this mystery and at least 1 bottle of red, white, or rosé. Most people will likely refer to this show as Kristen Bell's version of Rear Window, because its actual title is way too long. No kidding. It is again called The Woman in the House Across the Street from the Girl in the Window, and it looks like a must-watch, especially for everyone who wants a new situation for Kristen Bell to solve mysteries in, since Veronica Mars is now long over. So if you're looking for something a little bit light, with a little bit mystery and a little bit of humor, check out The Woman in the House Across the Street from the Girl in the Window. All 8 episodes. And our Hoopla recommendation for this week is Season 1 of the series Patrick Melrose, starring Benedict Cumberbatch, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Hugo Weaving, and Jessica Raine. Cumberbatch gives a sparkling performance as Patrick Melrose, a troubled member of the English upper class who tries to make sense of his life following the death of his father. Based on the novels by Edward St. Auburn, the show follows Patrick's life from his childhood in the south of France in the 1960s to his adult life in New York and London. So if you're a Cumberbatch fan and you haven't seen this one, check it out through Hoopla. And I thought you'd all like to see Jules, my office assistant, who is trying to give me some help I didn't really need Well, I was telling you about the New York Times bestsellers for this week. And of course, I'm very partial, but isn't he a beautiful cat? He is a sweetie. Even if sometimes he wants to assist me when I don't need assistance, he's still a sweetie. If you have questions about this weekly videocast, let me know. Send an email to me and I'll get back to you. My email address is reimerl@stls.org. That's reimerl@stls.org. The library is currently open the following hours: Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. and on Saturday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. We are closed on Sundays, but our digital catalogs, including Overdrive, Libby, and Hoopla, not to mention a bunch of really cool databases if you're doing research, those are all open 24/7, 365. If you have questions about any of our digital offerings, please call the library and we'll be happy to tell you all about them. You can also send me an email and I'll tell you all about them. But I digress. Moving right along. The library's website is found at ssclibrary.org, and you see a photo of our website on the left side of your page. If you're looking for research resources available online 24/7, you want to click on the down arrow there on the resources link, which is towards the right-hand corner of our website. You'll see it bordered in red on the screen here, and then you'll get a menu, and you want the third option that says Research and Learning, and that will take you to a page that lists all our databases. If you want the ones that are more academic, scroll all the way to the bottom and click on the list to see all databases. Starcat and its companion app, BookMine. Starcat is the catalog of physical library materials available to all card holders of the public libraries in the Southern Tier Library System. STLS encompasses the public libraries in Steuben, Chemung, Yates, Schuyler, and Allegheny counties. You can find Starcat online at starcat.stls.org, and you can find the BookMine app, which is spelled BOOKMYNE, in your app store. So you can access the catalog to search for print books, DVDs, anytime you want to from either the website catalog or the app. The digital catalog and its companion app, Libby. The digital catalog is like Starcat, except it offers digital content to all library card holders within the Southern Tier Library System. So that means eBooks, downloadable audiobooks, a handful of streaming videos too. So online you can find the digital catalog at stls.overdrive.com, or you can download the Libby app to your mobile device. Additionally of note, if you have a dedicated e-reader like the Kindle Paperwhite, you can get digital catalog content, also known as Libby content, on your e-reader. But there's a different way to do that. So if you have questions about how to put ebooks on your dedicated e-reader, just know that you can do that. Just call the library or drop by and we will walk you by the steps, which are a little different depending upon which dedicated e-reader you have. Hoopla. The Hoopla catalog features ebooks, comic books, full-length albums, downloadable audiobooks, and streaming videos, including both TV shows and movies. All Hoopla items are available for instant checkout for Southeast Steuben County Library card holders with a maximum of 10 checkouts per card per month. Communicating with the library. If you have a question about library services during the pandemic, you are welcome to go the traditional route and simply give us a call. The library's telephone number is 607-936-3713. And you can also connect with the library via social media. The library has pages on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Library blogs. We have several of them. We have the Book Club for Adults blog, found at ssclbook.club, and about, you guessed it, the monthly book club for adults. The Corning NY History blog, which is our local history blog featuring weekly postings. That one's found at corningnyhistory.com. We have Creation Stationery, our makerspace blog, which you can access at creationstationery.com. We also have Storing Musings, a blog hosted by the library's resident author and head of adult services, Michelle Wells, which is found at storymusings.blogspot.com. And finally, we have Tech and Book Talk, a readers, viewers, and listeners advisory blog, which is found at SSCLtech.com. And notable, you will also find each episode of Library Connections posted to the blog, usually on Tuesday of the week after they air, episodes airing, of course, on Fridays. And our references over the week. And that's the program for this week. I'll be back next week with a new edition of Library Connections. Happy reading and stay warm.